Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, folks, we got Aaka is out at UT. I am not happy about that. We're going to talk about that situation. Calipari's deal is done at Arkansas, and it looks like Scott Drew might be heading to Kentucky. And I can tell you right now, a lot of the people in Kentucky are not happy about this news.
This sucks more than anything that has ever sucked before.
Yeah, not happy at all. And this is on 3 by Nick Costco. It says Kentucky to meet with Baylor Scott Drew for head coaching opening. And there's been reports that he's been offered the job. So if they're meeting with him, if they haven't offered him, they're probably going to offer him in the meeting. And a lot of this has to do with Mitch Barnhart, who is friends with Scott Drew. And of course, Drew's a very good coach. Says they're going to meet with him regarding its coaching vacancy, etc. And of course, Scott Drew won a national title back in 21 with the Baylor. He's 446 and 244 as a head coach. And I can tell you, before Scott Drew got there, I didn't even know Baylor had a basketball team. And he led them to the top. So I think he's a very good X's and O's coach. He's a little bit boring, and he's not that sexy hire that Kentucky expects and has been getting for years. So there's a lot of disgruntled folks in Kentucky that Scott Drew's not who they want. That doesn't mean it's a bad hire, though. I think it would actually be a really solid hire. Now, of course, he was brought up along with Nate Oates and Jay Wright and also the Hurley guy up at Connecticut. But I just don't see Hurley. Hurley's already said he's not going to take the job. He's won 2 national titles in a row. His wife's happy. That's a big thing. So I think Hurley's out of the question. Then you've got Nate Oates. Well, Nate Oates has already come out and said he's not going to take the job. He's staying in Alabama, which I think is a very good move. He is he's beloved down there. The expectations in Alabama, he's never going to have a ton of pressure on him, and he just keeps excelling. So he needs to stay where he's at.
Stay as long as you can. For the love of God, cherish it.
And that's just my personal opinion. If I was his friend, I'd be like, you don't even need to think about going to Kentucky. That is a pressure cooker. Those folks up there, they are not interested in any type of feel-good story or moral victory. The only thing they're interested in are natties, period. Final 4 appearances and winning natties. And if you don't bring that to them, they're going to hammer you. They're going to rip you to shreds until you can't take it anymore. And then you start talking to Arkansas, and next thing you know, you've kind of stepped on it, because I don't think that Calipari really wanted to go. I think he got mad because people were treating him poorly, and he started talking to Arkansas because they reached out to him after their coach left. Musselman went to USC. So that once that occurred, my understanding is that at first that he didn't notify Kentucky. Then I hear reports that he did notify him, and that if he hadn't, it would have been a breach of contract. So there's some iffy stuff there. But once he went down that path, and I think he sort of agreed with Arkansas, he might have tried to crawdad and backpedal a little bit. And then he even met with a couple of Kentucky guys. But Mitch Barnhart was like, absolutely not. You're out the door, buddy. We've already celebrated. We've had a party. The answer is absolutely not.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Yeah, don't even think about it. So we're going to talk about him in a minute. He's accepted the job to Arkansas. But it sounds to me like it's Scott Drew's to turn down. And I don't think he will. This is a premium job. Kentucky's one of the best jobs in the country. I hate saying that as a Vols fan, but it's the truth. It's the quintessential blue blood job. Now, it's not as important as it used to be. 10, 20 years ago, going to a school like that was huge for a coach. Now you can win anywhere with NIL and with the transfer portal. It's not near as critical as it used to be. Plus the one and done thing, it's hard to win with one and done, because what you're dealing with is a bunch of 18-year-olds. They don't know how to play team ball. All they've done in high school is give the ball to Jimmy because he's going to go score 40 points. And they don't know how to play defense. They don't know how to do a lot of things. And on top of it, the only thing they're interested in is going and getting their Benjamins in the NBA. Now, granted, they're going to get some money in college, but it's paltry compared to what you're going to get in the NBA. And they're sitting here going, do I really need to listen to a bunch of defensive coaching when I'm getting ready to go make more money than the guys give me grief? So the one and done is very difficult. I understand, it's hard to turn down a 5-star. But a 5-star as a freshman versus a 5-star as a senior is a very different thing. It's just hard. And that's what happened to Kentucky. And then on top of it, the other problem you get is they freeze up in the NCAA. And you saw that with Kentucky. Their best players were their seniors. The freshmen who were scoring 30 points a game, they froze up because they're not used to being under that much spotlight and that much pressure with the one-and-done situation. And they don't come through for you normally. So the one-and-done is, I think it's done. Yeah, you're going to take those 5 stars, but it's not near the advantage that a lot of people think it is. The other possibility, and I'm hope they don't do this. I really don't want to see Bruce Pearl there because he'll get that fan base all fired up. He'll get that student section all fired up, and I don't want to deal with that. He needs to stay down there in Auburn, down there at the Jungle with their 9,000 seats. I don't want to see him at Rupp. That would not be fun as a Vols fan. And honestly, Scott Drew is a very solid hire. And my understanding is Mitch Barnhart and he are buddies. So I think that'll play a role as well. I don't think that Barnhart and Calipari got along at all. It was cats and dogs up there. I don't even think they were even talking to each other. And speaking of Calipari, he's taken a $7 million a year job at Arkansas, which is actually less money than he was making at Kentucky, but he's got a bunch of incentives in here. He's got, let's see, $1 million signing bonus, $500,000 retaining bonuses annually. So that's really a 7.5 starting salary, not 7, and then 8.5 the first year. So he's going to make about the same amount of money. It just the base won't be the same. He said in a video that it was time to completely detach from the Wildcats program for another opportunity. Honestly, I think this is a good move for him. He can get a fresh start at Arkansas. He'll be able to go right down to Memphis and recruit like crazy. That's a place that he's very comfortable with. He was the Memphis head coach for years, and he knows those high school areas very well, and there's a ton of great athletes there. So he's going to have more talent than he'll know what to do with. The question is, will he learn from his mistakes at Kentucky? Are you going to stick strictly with the one and done? Are you going to bring in an X's and O's assistant coach who can actually help you during in-game? Because he's not that good a coach in-game. He's just not. He's okay. Well, the problem is when you get in the NCAA, you're going up against the very best coaches, and he struggles. He struggles to be able to make those changes at halftime, and I think that's why he's been getting knocked out of the tournament so much. If he will bring in an X's and O's guy to help him and eat a little humble pie, I think he'll make a heck of a return. And this is an opportunity for him to get a fresh start. And here's the thing. Everybody will love him at Arkansas. It was getting to where they despised him at Kentucky. And he's not the type of guy that can deal with that. Some people have armor and they can handle anything. He's not that type of guy. He's sensitive to some level. And obviously it got to him. You know, when he came back after losing to Oakland, there was no love in Kentucky for him. And he felt it. So this is a good opportunity for him to move on and open a new chapter. And Kentucky's happy. He's happy. It's really a win-win. And I think he'll accept that in a few months. He'll figure out, hey, this is just better here. Everybody likes me. Everybody's excited about the new season. It'll give him a new energy. He was going to be just trudging along up in Kentucky. And everyone, no matter what he'd done in the season, they'd have been like, oh, yeah, well, the NCAA's coming up. How you going to do? You're going to go out one and done like you did 2 out of the last 3 years? That's what he would have been dealing with. You don't want that crap. So it sounds like that's a done deal at Arkansas. We'll find out about Scott Drew. I'm about 75% thinking Drew's going to take that job. I would be very surprised if he does not. Unless Baylor he's only making $3 million a year at Baylor. He'll make 7 or 8 there at Kentucky. I mean, they're going to double his pay. And I don't think, well, Baylor could, though. That's in Texas, and there's oil money there, but I think he'll take the job. It's just too good a job, and he and Mitch are like this. It feels like a done deal to me. But, we'll see. Now we got to talk about Toby Aaka. I could not be more upset about this. This is almost as bad as Zakai Ziegler. If he went there, well, that'd even be worse. What's going on? Why is Toby Aaka going in? Why is he in the portal? I don't get it. He was going to play a ton of minutes next year. He had gotten better every year. He's our best rebounder. He's shooting his free throws so much better. He's scoring better. He did have trouble with getting in foul trouble, but that's something you can work on and get better at. He's 6'8", 250. He was our enforcer in there, which is somebody we need. We need an enforcer in the SEC, and he was that guy for us. I was looking for him to be a double-double every game next year. And he's also very clutch. You know, he doesn't disappear when the pressure gets hot. He'll show up. So I think this is a big loss, and it's very frustrating to me because he was one of my absolute favorite players. Every time he got in there, I was like, well, he's going to get a rebound. He's going to get one immediately, and he'll probably score some points. So I'm not sure what's going on, why that is. Maybe he felt like he was kind of an odd man out in that 4 position. He's a little bit undersized, even though 6'8", I don't know how it's undersized. But I don't like this. And if it's about money, give him some money. I mean, good grief, get that NIL going. That doesn't make any sense. And I'm hearing word that he may be going to Ohio State. I don't like that at all. I guess it'd be worse if he was going to SEC school. But anyway, if he's going to take some time and look around, I'd be making him an offer to stay. We don't need to lose Aaka. He's just too good a player, and this is not a good look. I don't like this at all. Now, we do have 5, with him leaving, we do have 5 open scholarships. So I can tell you Rick Barnes had better be heavy in that transfer portal because we need some players now. You know, we're not going to have a whole lot of depth, and a lot of our starters are going to be brand new guys. So he needs to be wearing out the transfer portal because it's I don't like this. That was one of our key guys that I was really looking forward to being sort of the core of our team. And without him, we got to get somebody that can rebound and can push people around. He was the one guy that could kind of handle that Zach Edey a little bit. I'm still mad about that. That Zach Edey. Ugh.
Damn it, I hate that Bob Parker.
Okay. At least he didn't win the national title. I was actually rooting against him because of that. That guy, his talent is being big. And he pushed us around and scored 40 points on us. It was awful. But anyway, one other thing I wanted to talk about today. Kim Caldwell had her introduction, and it was great. I mean, it was a love fest. Everybody is fired up about her. It couldn't have been better. But there was one person that asked her a kind of a tough question, which was quintessential John Adams. I've been reading John Adams for decades with the Knoxville News Sentinel and all that. And I always thought his byline should be Devil's Advocate. John Adams, Devil's Advocate. Because he always comes at it from a different angle. Now, some of you don't like him, and that I understand. He's not for everybody. He's got a little bit of that Steve Spurrier smart aleckiness about him. But I like his writing because it's different, and he comes at it from such a different place. But anyway, he asked her one tough question, and everybody else was like, oh, isn't it magical that you're here and taking over this wonderful premier spot? And she was all fired up about it. But Zach Reagan picked up on it too, the same as I did, and I'll let you listen to his question. Now realize, he asked it nicely. It was very much a devil's advocate question, though. It was, hey, can you actually, I'll interpret it for you after you hear it, and I'll let you know what he really asked.
Adams, Knoxville News Sentinel. Kim, do you think your style of play can translate to the higher level, or do you think you'll need to modify it a little bit?
I wouldn't be here if I didn't think we could do it here.
Oh, snap. In other words, all right, now I'm going to interpret what he really asked her and what she really said in response. Because I heard him talking about this very thing that morning. I was watching Hooked On. It's not Hooked On. It's Dave Hooker. Dave Hooker. It's everything's hooked now. Off the Hook. Off the Hook with him and Caleb Calhoun. And I like Caleb Calhoun because he's another guy that'll just say whatever. He tries to be neutral, which is not easy to do when you're talking about the Vols. But anyway, they had John Adams on, and I was watching it. And Adams was talking about this very thing about, hey, she's going to come in with this high-octane defense and offense and all this stuff, and then she's going to have to go up against the LSUs, the South Carolinas in the SEC, and they're just going to smack this down. He said, can this really work? So I was not a bit surprised by this question. Now I'm going to interpret what he really said. And having read John Adams for years, I know this is what he was thinking. Well, little Miss Sunshine, you've come in here, everybody's all excited. You think you're going to bring this little fast-paced offense and defense, and you're going to have to go up against all these big-time athletes at South Carolina, LSU, and all these places, and you think that's going to work? Do you honestly think that's going to work? Aren't you going to have to change a lot of things to even have a chance? Now I'm going to give you her actual response.
All right, we got served. So now, I guess, it's on.
That's how I heard it. But anyway, I like John Adams, so this is not me giving him crap. I just enjoyed that. I like that, mixing it up, and that's just who the guy is. And that shows you that Caldwell, she's ready. She's very competitive. She said she'd still be playing basketball to this day if she could. She loves basketball. She loves teaching, and I think she's going to be a great hire and a terrific coach for us. And I think her high-paced offense, shooting those three-pointers, getting those steals, playing that pressure defense, 94 feet, is going to be fantastic and awesome to watch. And Danny White's the one that brought it up, said it's going to be kind of like Josh Heupel and his offense, and I've thought the exact same thing from day one, and I think that's what Danny White was after, and he's got it. And I think this is going to be very exciting brand of basketball, which means I'm going to start watching it again. I hadn't watched it much over the last few years because it's been boring. It's just been boring. But if they're going to play like that, I'll be watching. So anyway, I wanted to cover all these things today. It's a lot of basketball news. I'm still mad about this Aaka thing. I don't like it at all, but it is what it is, man. It's transfer portal world that we live in. And if you like this content and you want to keep up with this type of stuff, all you got to do is hit this little button right here. Costs you nothing. Half of you don't hit the button. I don't know why. What am I doing wrong?
I'm not going to beg you. My track record speaks for itself.
Can we stop this cruel game and allow the boy to keep one shred of dignity?
And right over here's the most recent video YouTube thinks you'll enjoy based on your viewing history. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.